এখন শুরু হয়েছে। ভিডিও।
Hello, everyone. I hope I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So it is a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome the guests who are presented here to attend the discussion panel on behalf of Rustle of Book Club. I offer my regards to all the renowned authors. Mrs. Swati Bhattacharya. Swati Bhattacharya is a formal IT professional and having worked in several multinational organizations. After having left her job, she is now a homemaker and pursues her passion in art and literature. She currently resides in Kolkata with her husband and daughter. Swati has published a collection of essays, which is I Sat by the Tungbhadra, and it is available on both Flipkart and Amazon. She completed workshop on poetry conducted by the California Institute of Arts and Coursera, Sharpen Vision, a poetry workshop in November 2019. Swati combined poetry with her drawings and brought a book through KDP Purple Does. Her recently published fiction is titled as The Arrival, available on Amazon and Pustak Mandi. She currently hosts a channel on Mensa from the Book Bakers community on regional literature. In 2019, Swati gave an exhibition of a drawing at Balganj Institute, Kolkata, and recently in February 2022, she participated in a group exhibition which was held at Gallery Gold, for the welfare of thalassemia patients. Swati loves to read, and some of her favorite authors include Amitav Ghosh, Jhumpa Lahiri, Marquez, and Elf Shafa. She's particularly fond of historical fiction and contemporary writings by the women. The second dignitary is Dr. Jas Kohli. Uh, Dr. Jas Kohli is a cosmetic surgeon by profession and a humor writer and poet by passion. His works include three humor novels: Anything to Look Hot, Light Scalpel Romance, and Light's Wedding and Ludhiana. Humor, poetry books in Hindi and Punjab, and short stories in various anthologies. He has also founded the Nature Club, and Dr. Jas Kohli has been conferred with the Star Ambassador of World Poetry and Art Award by Physic Poetica International Organization World Poetry Conference in Bhatinda, Punjab. Is Mrs. She was born in and raised in New Delhi, helped a few leading her first psychological thriller, Ereka. Her editing and co-authoring work are highly appreciated by the author community. She has done her bachelor's in industrial relations and personal management with the German language from Delhi College of Arts and Commerce. She has worked with corporates like Macmillan UK and Clifford Chance. She has a small stint of working with lawyers at Clifford Chance, London. She started her own company, Let Us Write Publishing, which helped writers to write, edit, and publish their work in collaboration with HSD Ascent Canada. Her podcasts are available on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And she is now based in Minnesota, United States, and handling international projects. So we are very lucky to have you all with us. So happy that you have joined this discussion panel. So the basic motive of this discussion panel is to motivate young authors and to develop reading habits among the young generation. So welcome, sir. Welcome, ma'am. Myself, Jessica Sehgal, and I'm student of English literature. I have completed my master in English from SD College Ambala Kent, and right now I'm working as a freelance content writer. So first of all, I would like to ask all of you, when did you realize you wanted to be a writer, and how did you form your ideas about writing?
So,
Hi, Jessica.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, hi, Jessica. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, see, the way I began my journey is a little kind of maybe a little, the unusual way. Because as you know that I prepared myself to have a career in the IT, and I had a corporate career. So that is where I moved till a pretty long time until my husband had to be deputed to a different country, different location. And so I moved along with my daughter because it was difficult for me to just, stay over here and be with my daughter, her education. And then when I returned back, that is when I had quite a lot of time on my hand because I had left my job and I really didn't want to return to my corporate job, because first of all, it took away a lot of time and energy. And I was no longer really keen to continue that, give so much of my time to something that I was not really enjoying all the time. That was one. And two was I loved reading for a long time, as far as I can remember, as long as I can remember. So I thought that, I could just writing a few pieces, like blogging and all that. So I started in Quora. And I shared some of those few pieces with my friends, relatives, and they got appreciated. There was some feedback, constructive feedback as well, which I took. And eventually, then it became a kind of it developed into some passion to write more. uh, and then it just started, because the first thing I did was, it was a memoir, which was uh, the easiest of the all, because it's already there, the content was already there, everything was there, because it's about yourself, your the interesting facts, interesting people who had an influence on your life, and interesting journeys, travel logs. So even about my corporate life, difficult, very difficult clients who made life so difficult that even after you returned home in the evening, you couldn't speak, and you thought that, okay, tomorrow again I have to go over there and check those mails of all colors, red, blue, green, black, all imaginable colors, escalations. So all those things. So yes, so that's how I started. There was a memoir, then I took a workshop, and I thought, poetry, let me dabble in it, because I have never been comfortable with poetry. Not about being comfortable, I didn't quite, uh, I couldn't, I couldn't really appreciate, you might say. I preferred prose more than poetry. So I dabbled with it. And then I always loved painting. Okay. So I clubbed that with the poetry, brought out a book called Purple Dust. And then the latest is my fiction, a novella on women. Somehow, I'm probably a little sensitive towards issues or events related to women. So that took shape. And this latest novella that I have, it is about 5 women who are from various backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, and their upbringing, their culture, and region, everything. So I just wanted to experiment with how these women would, react to certain conditions, certain changes. I mean, we all love to be in a particular comfort zone. We get so used to it, and then what suddenly, if we are taken out of it, something shakes you so much that you are, you start thinking differently. You start thinking separately, and then you move out of your comfort zone. How would you react to it? What would you do then? So that is how the novella took shape. So it has been taken pretty well by the readers. And right now I'm writing a collection of essays, stories on, uh, if I may put it rightly, absurdities. It's a part of nihilism genre, where existentialism is questioned. And I'm having a lot of fun writing on it, because it is giving, it's giving a lot of fire to my imagination, because it's almost like limitless. I'm enjoying it thoroughly. So this is my journey so far.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your journey. Now I'll ask Dr. Jess Cooley to share their experience, that how he started their journey being a writer.
So, my journey is also a bit similar to what Swati has told. Um, I started writing at a very late age, that is in the early 40s. So before that, I was very busy in the medical profession. Uh, and I would say that it was basically a solution to the midlife crisis. I have been an avid reader since I was a young child, and I have been reading all sort of stuff, especially non-fiction, magazines, historical books, travel books, and all that stuff. And so that background was already there. So started straight with a novel. Like it is like jumping into a swimming pool without knowing swimming. So naturally, what would you do? You will end up struggling. So same happened with me. So I didn't have, and I stay in Ludhiana where there are hardly any authors. So I had to find my way firstly in writing, and refining it, and then in finding a publisher. And so the as is with the most of the debut authors, my first fiction book was semi-autobiographical, like it was basically on the life of a cosmetic surgeon. Because as Swati has said, it is very easy to write. Uh, you already have the content, you already have the ideas. And my second book was also a, no, a fiction centered on the surgeons. So by my second book, I had definitely made up my mind that I would, I have chosen the humor genre. Like I felt that I had a knack for it, and the readers also liked it, and people encouraged me. So humor is very easy for the reader or the listener, but very difficult for the writer, because almost every line or para, it has to be special. Uh, like not only in the language, but also it has to be a punchline, sort of punchline, almost through the in the whole of the text. So regarding the ideas, I have written all the three books on the subjects which are uh, which I have observed directly, and that makes it much easier. And of course, in a fiction, you have to imagine a few things. So I also take help of my friends and relatives, and ask them like about their experiences, and that also helps. And of course, I do go, like every other writer, I go through the writer's block, but sooner or later I recover from it. And reading different books and watching television is also a good way to get ideas. And of course, some ideas appear magically, especially when you are least expecting them. And often you are in a situation we are not able to jot down, even we are not able to type them on the mobile, and often they disappear. And then you feel so this thing as you have lost something.
So now I'll request Mrs. Mansi Kashyap to share her views, or how did she begin her journey.
Hi, Jessica, and hi, everyone. I think it's very funny that Swati, Jasri, and me share the same story. It's not that I have midlife crisis, but it's actually, it happens once in life when you need something out of your regular 9 to 5 job. And for me, I worked for 10 years in corporates, and I worked from IT to quality and being a team manager, everything I've done. But after a while, you need therapy for yourself, for your life to move ahead. You need those little small, beautiful things. It could be painting, it could be writing, or it could be anything, all these hobbies, it comes out from you. So like Swati said, I really want to get into that kind of a life wherein I enjoy doing whatever I write. I enjoy that. So same thing as Jasdi, like he's a doctor and he's writing humor. So definitely something which is lacking in our lives, we write that, or something which is in abundance, we write that. Either we write something which is in abundance or something which is in lacking. So and I thought that enough of this corporate life, so I just penned on my first psychological thriller, Erica, in 2020. And it became the first runner-up in the Coimbatore Literary Festival Awards. And I was so happy to get the love from my readers for my first book. And encouraged by that motivation, I started writing more. And then, because I have love for nature, I study trees and I study different kind of birds. So I have written poetry about birds, and nature, about trees, about autumn, and lots of other things. So that comes in my second book, Hirayat, which is a collection of 100 poems. And I've also written a love story. My latest book, Love by Chance, is released by one of the India's most famous publishers called Srishti Publishers from Delhi. And it is a memoir of actually my school days. And I grew up in Delhi, and I studied schooling and my university days in Delhi. So I wanted to write something about Delhi. Being in United States, it just makes me homesick. And then when I take a pen and paper or my laptop to write something, I feel that I should write about where I was born and brought up, and about my roots, about different cultural aspects of my life that I have, enjoyed with my parents or grandparents. So I've written all that in my latest book, Love by Chance. And it's a teen romance actually. And if anybody, any age person can read it, they will go back to their school days in some way or the other. So I wanted to bring that into my writing. And apart from that, I am currently writing in a Hindi language also, because I wanted to write something in my own language. So I'm writing a collection of short stories in Hindi. And these stories are not the millennial stories. They are stories of our age, like 70s, 80s, 90s, when we grew up, or stories about the villages, innocent people living in the villages of India. So I'm sure my readers going to enjoy those stories as well. I'm working on that. And so this is my story. It's very similar to Swati's or just a story. So yeah, this is about it. I think I also, apart from writing books, I also edit books for small time authors, like who are writing their books for the first time. I have edited more than 50 books for um authors, and currently I'm working as a freelancer, and also working as an editor-in-chief for a publishing house based in Delhi called Anecdote Publishing House. So yeah, this is about me. And thank you for having me in this literature festival. So honored.
So
I think somebody got disconnected.
Jessica is not there, it seems.
Yeah, I think she got disconnected.
Actually, my connection was lost.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Hello, sorry for the loss of connection.
No issues at all, Jessica. That can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after hearing your all valuable experiences, I would all like to share my experience that although I'm not experienced like you all, but I started writing in very early age. I used to write my day-to-day routine in a notebook, so that to improve my writing skills. And even my parents supported me a lot in this, as my mother is a teacher and my father is retired from Air Force. So they have supported me a lot and guided me how to write or how can I improve my writing style. So after writing during my early age, I have written my first poetry on love, which was really appreciated by my teachers, my professors who were in SD College.
Sorry for the trouble. I guess she got disconnected again. Yeah, I think she's back.
Disturbance. Sorry. I hope I'm audible to you all.
Yes, yes.
I'm really sorry for this inconvenience, really sorry. So I was just sharing my experience that through that poetry and those appreciation, I got the confidence of writing. So yes, I got that experience, that confidence from writing. So after hearing your experience, that how you started, now I would like to ask a question, that there is a very common myth among the or all over the world, that writers are basically, they are depressed or they are very eccentric. So what are your views, that is it really a lonely profession, or we can cope up with it by the time?
I
See,
think
Jessica, I would like to say one thing that, like I told you before, that before I introduced myself, a writer basically writes maybe because something is so full in his or her life that he or she wants to share it with the world. And secondly, maybe because something is lacking, so he is using writing as a medium of therapy for himself, to give closures to so many incomplete happenings or incomplete desires in his or her life. So he or she wants to put it in the writing to give a closure. And it is a kind of therapy for a lot of authors, whether they agree or not. I have experienced it, while writing my books, because sometimes for example, in my latest book, Love by Chance, I have written something which I have not been able to do in my school life. I was a studious kid, so I wanted to do all those things which nowadays kids are entitled to. And because I couldn't do that, being a plain Jane in my school, I wanted to write all of that. So I thought myself as a protagonist, I thought myself as Jessie, and I gave that closure to myself. So you cannot say that an author is a lonely person, but sometimes it's important to give those closures in your life to be able to move ahead. So I feel writing is a medium to move ahead in life. And yeah, of course, writers, they spend a lot of time with themselves, because they have to write in an environment, in a specific environment where there's no disturbance. So that is different. You can call it a solitary phase, but not loneliness. That's what I feel. But yeah, maybe other authors have different view about it, and I would love to hear that.
so.
Jessica, I think I kind of agree with Mansi. Yes, either it's an abundance or a lack of something which you want to fulfill. But I definitely feel one thing. All creative people, that outburst, that energy of creation, that comes from a particular sense of lack of something. Otherwise, creativity would not happen. When people are complete with the pleasures and luxuries of life, then they wouldn't think beyond it. People who are consumed with the earthly things, if I could put it that way, you know uh, like expensive jewelry and whatever the person is fascinated with, then she or he wouldn't ever think of, wouldn't be imaginative. How else would creation happen if you are not imaginative? And when would that happen? Is when that space develops in your mind, that frame, that piece, that space comes in, and that is when it happens. So that is why we say that people, I mean, not everyone could be, or could create or write or paint or something like that. And yes, it needs that spark, whatever it would be, needs that spark. It's just not suddenly you wake up and think, yes, I'm going to be a writer, I'm going to be a painter. I loved Van Gogh's paintings. I'm so overwhelmed with them that today itself I'm going to create something that's going to mesmerize the world. That's not how it will happen in a day or so. Yes, so that's how I feel. And coming to your question of whether they feel lonely, I personally do feel a little lonely. Lonely in the sense, when I want to jot down something, and if I have questions about it, if I don't have the right people sitting around me, then I feel that I wish he or she could be here. Mostly my husband, because he's also a very imaginative, creative person, and I could bounce my ideas against what him, and feel that yes, I'm thinking right. Would this be right? Is this character believable? Is this right? Is this okay? So I'm a homemaker, right? I'm not going out. I'm not discussing this with colleagues or friends, and a lot of my friends are not into these things. I get utterly bored if I'm at a gathering where people are discussing other things which I cannot relate with much. Okay, after a time, sometime I get so bored. I don't want to discuss TV serials or something. I'm not trying to be nerdy or something. This is just me. Okay, so at one point of time, I would like to go back into what I was thinking. I'm trying to create a plot. Is this working? How will it be taken by the readers? So that's how it is. And I would like to listen to Just Sir.
So uh, I I I think not all writers are eccentric, but you should pose to be an eccentric because people like it that way. So jokes apart, what I feel is that like I like to write late at night when everybody is asleep. So what happens is that when I start writing a fiction book, after a while the characters, they sort of come alive, and I sort of talk to them. I imagine them. So in a way, I'm lonely, but also not lonely. So the the story is formed. There are situations. There are emotions. So that is the thing that you start forming a relationship with your characters, and you are in a world of your own. So in a way, of course, every person has got their own perspective or their own like, for example, since childhood, I'm a sort of person that even if I have no company, I can enjoy myself by reading a book or reading a magazine or anything. Somehow my situation in life has been such. So of course, I can fit myself into any situation. I can even in a party when I go, I act like those people only.
True.
Like I believe that writers with humor genre can't be lonely. So how will you describe, as you have said that I love to be in isolation. So
Good question.
So like uh, on a, see humor writing humor is an art as well as science. So it is an art in the sense that you should be aware of certain situations, and sometimes we even copy the jokes. Somebody has said some joke and we put it in the book also, and some people are even wary of conversing with me, so thinking that I would I might enter my I might that make that person enter in a different by a different name. And I'll tell you very interesting thing. I have even taken a revenge on a previous boss, a very notorious boss, by putting that person in my book and making a humorous character. Of course, I avoided giving the book to him and made sure that that book did not reach him. And so one thing is that the more situations you see and the more people you converse with, you get more ideas. On the other hand, there are techniques of writing humor, like to create punchline. If you think and think and think, after a while, or you make a combination of words, sometimes, often you can get a humorous line. So it is, I think, both ways. You have to be lonely and you have to be gregarious also.
uh, I think it's a very it's so well said. So I mean, completely agree with you, and wish I can take that.
But Jasri, what I have observed while writing these books and editing so many books, that humor is such a tough thing to write. I mean, to be able to put that thing, which is the idea which is in your mind, to put it into the words, exact words, so that the readers can actually have a haha moment or that mojo moment while writing what you're thinking. It takes something, it takes some kind of creativity and talent to write that. It's not that easy. I have seen a lot of writers who try to do comedy and try to put some humorous things in their writings, but they fail to do so. And because the idea that they have in their mind, they are not able to put it in right words. So it is a very difficult genre, I must say, and I hats off to you if you're writing such thing. I must read your books now.
But
Yes, even I'm thinking so. And I have a question here, actually. I mean, uh, do you yourself read? I mean, to just sir, do you yourself read plenty of such books? Because I mean, do you get that block, that writer's block? Because at one point of time, everyone feels that you cannot proceed. So do you then fall back on books or such things to get back your creativity?
so, about how difficult it is to write humor. So even I have stopped at a stage. I'm not doing stand up, because, like, for example, when I'm writing a book, suppose somebody doesn't laugh, that person is not going to throw something at me. But if I'm in an audience, and you imagine the situation that I speak something and there's a pin drop silence. I think that is even a tougher job, to have, to be in an audio visual setting. So, like, regarding your question about the writer's block. So, for writing humor, there is a technique, mm, like, if you are imagining something, uh, you write it. This is for the youngsters also. You write all the words in relation on a page, from the centers, the idea you radiate, and you write 10, 12, 15 words. And when you combine them, something, and this is for all genres, I think. This works for all genres. And when you combine those words, you will always get some interesting line. So this is what I do when I fall into a rut.
Thank you, sir. Actually, at one point, I mean, I'm coming back to what Mansi was telling. So about about fulfilling certain wishes when you were a child. So in my novella, there's the main protagonist, Samira, is a journalist, and from a very young age, I have always been so impressed with the journalists. The it's about their dynamism, the fearlessness, their the way they can move to places and talk about it on the spot, presenting the situation and connect with the audience. I used to love that. So somewhere along, it must have played. It has been on my mind for a long time. So when I wrote this novella, my main protagonist, there are 5 women characters and they are all protagonists, but the main protagonist is Samira. And as it happens with all writers, when you create them, when you create the characters, you love them, you endow them as much as possible. I did that, but probably there was just that little bit more for Samira. I loved her. I had more, you know empathy for her. I empathized her. I empathized for her childhood, and I wanted her to do well. She was more, probably more powerful, in the sense more empowered and brilliant and everything. So that's probably me somewhere, which I wanted to be, and which did not happen. So it came out as in a writing.
So what you mean is that just like what we try to do with our kids, we try to live through them the same thing we are doing through our characters.
Yeah, but there is a difference here, in the sense that see, with our kids, it's life, it's real life. I mean, but with the writing, you can do anything. With my main protagonist, if I feel, I could even kill her in the last chapter, or
I agree.
make her do something very evil. She has shades. She has shades of gray, not absolutely uh, perfect. No one is perfect. She has this dark side. At one point of time, she actually moved on. Kind of left her boyfriend and moved along for a selfish reasons. And later she feels bad about it. She's guilty about it, and she wants to reconcile with the fact that she had done this at one point of time when actually there's no reason, no solid reason for doing so, but she had done it. She wants to reconcile with that. She wants to meet up with her boyfriend. But but that's not the case when it comes to real life. I mean, with my kid,
I agree.
it is, you can't experiment.
I agree.
True.
And I share my views also about if
Sure.
writing alone. So basically, I believe that we can say that writing is a lonely profession, but we can't tell that it is an isolated one. Means when you are lonely, at some point of time, we all love alone so that we can form new ideas. But isolation means to be away from all the social contacts you have. So I think it can be a lonely profession, but not an isolated one. If
True,
we
true.
uh, but there are many writers who are very famous and have written in isolation. Like I have read Emily Dickinson. She's one of the American writer. She used to be isolated, and but her main topics were like death and you know uh, all the negative uh, topics she used to portray. So yes, I think it's a lonely profession, but not an isolated profession as far as I think.
What I would,
So
sorry to just cut you in. I mean, there's a difference between being lonely and being in a solitude, right?
right.
It would, I think, better be put as solitude helps you to talk to yourself, and you would be the best person to judge and put it down. You can definitely have like-minded people around where you can sound your ideas, and then it can get a better shape, or might not. But that's how I would like to put it.
What I think, that writer can't be lonely, because even if somebody is alone, uh, if being a writer, you can even find some, uh, uh, life in non-living things. Like if we study romantic writers, so what they used to write, they write about their surroundings. So they do not contact with people, but they used to write about nature, or even small things they observe around them. So I think it can't be even a lonely profession, although.
Excuse me, ma'am, you're muted.
Jessica, you're muted.
Sorry. Uh, I would like to ask all of you whether how you people form the ideas about writing. Means what inspires you to write, or how you form the ideas.
I think, you know what, I can speak for myself. What normally happens is there could be two things. One is a particular incident or event that has shaken you so much that it no longer remains just as some, thoughts, scattered thoughts. It is so concrete that it is not letting you sleep. You've talked about it. You're talking about it with your family, your husband, your friends. It could be a political event, and with all the political upheaval that happens in such a large, democratic country as ours, sometimes you just feel that maybe I can write down a piece because I cannot just stay with the thought. It's for myself, personal. I'm not going to get it published or something, but I'll write it down. That could be one thing. And the other could be you're so fascinated with a particular um, idea. It's a dream, it's an imagination that you can no longer just let it stay in your mind. So you put it down on a paper, and then it gradually takes shape. If you really want to convert it into a full-fledged story, then you start developing plots and characters, and then you play with it. So these could be the two things, and maybe for professional writers, it has to be done for, of course, like it's a means of learning. Earning. So that's how I feel it is.
So, like this topic is a very big topic. I think how a writer gets an idea. So the ideas for they can be the first and most important idea is for the formation of the plot. Say if you're writing a fiction book, or even if you're writing a non-fiction book, you need a sort of framework before beginning, and then. Then ideas about the characters, about these scenes, the settings, and so like for the first two books, I was a sort of pantser, means I started writing, and the story formed as I wrote. But now I have for the last two books I have turned into a plotter, and I think that has made it the storyline uh, a more sort of riveting as compared to when what I wrote when I was a pantser, because now I've been able to put more twists and turns, and then of course you form the ideas first of all from your own experiences and beliefs, and then you have to imagine certain things, and as I said previously, some of the ideas they appear magically.
Sir, I have a question. So when you said you're a plotter, uh, what exactly do you do? I mean, I would like to understand more on this. If you can share on that.
Yes, so like basically it is said that there are two ways of writing a book, and every writer has their own pet style, uh, as I said. So plotter means that I form a sort of story, an outline of the story. But one cannot be strictly a plotter, because sometimes even if you have formed a plot, as you start keep on writing, um the story may take a different shape, or you may get a side story, or some side character becomes more important. So it's not a strictly, but yes, that and in fact it sometimes takes me 2 to 3 months just to make a plot, because and once the plot is formed, it becomes very easy to write a fiction book.
Okay. Okay.
And one more very important thing is that when I used to start my stories, I first structure it in a notepad, or a rough anywhere in the laptop also. So depends on what kind of characters do you want. You have to really decide in the very beginning. Number of chapters, what is going to be the length of the story, because you can't just keep writing and then you erase some of the chapters because you don't like it or it doesn't go with the story. So before I would advise the new writers that before writing a story, structure it first. Think how many chapters, just roughly. You can increase, of course, here and there, but roughly imagine that what's going to be the epilogue and what's going to be the prologue, and how I'm going to connect the characters. And like Mr. just said, how strong the characters should be, the portrayal of the character. Sometimes the side characters also, their character is so strong that they are very important for the story. So readers, they always look for these kind of small things that might be lacking in your story. So we have to make those strong. Another thing is decide the location where your story is going to be set. Like for all of my books, I have already decided the location. When I used to read books and not writing books, I used to imagine, how come Khalid Hosseini knew so much about Afghanistan? Of course, he's from Afghanistan, so he's going to write about Afghanistan. How come Elif Shafak writes so much about Turkey? She's from Istanbul, of course. How come writers write about the places they are at? So, of course, remember one thing, that you should write about the places which you know about. You're sure about that. Otherwise, people who are you already living there, they might gonna think that this is not right, this is wrong. So like if you're from Delhi, I'm born and brought up in Delhi, so I've written a novel set in Delhi. I've worked in London, so I've written a novel based in London, because I know the places. So it's so easy to portray and show those scenes, just like a movie is running in front of you. So place is very important. I have edited some novels wherein the writers have failed to give the location of their novel. Sometimes it works for non-fiction novels, of course. But for fiction, yeah, it is so interesting to leave the place and its beauty or whatever is there in that place, to show it to your readers. So that is, I think, very, very important. Some of the authors, they leave this kind of details, small details. Yeah.
Thanks, Mansi. This is exactly what I did in my novel. I put in details of the place Rishikesh, and I did it purposely so that so that people can actually transport themselves to that place. The sceneries and everything. The reader would actually be there, and I also feel the location by itself. It formed a character. It has a character of itself, and it defines. It can almost define the personality itself. I mean, you could set your story in Mumbai or even in Pune, the two cities, but in the same two different cities in same state, but the flavor would be different. That's how I feel. And the other question that I have to all is, do you feel pressurized to change or bring modifications to your plots or even the characters so that uh, they can suit to the tastes or how the readers want to see them, not like how you want to present them? Do you at all feel pressurized?
Yeah, the pressure is always there. To be honest with you, with me, sometimes I feel that if I show a lot of vulnerability, the characters should not be very vulnerable, because that will showcase me as an author, what I'm writing. So sometimes I have to be very responsible in terms of how I'm portraying my characters. Like, for example, if I'm writing a teen story, a school story, I have to be responsible. If I'm showing a drinking and driving scene, I make sure that at the end of the chapter or that scene, I make it clear to my teen readers that this is not the right way to go in life. So in that way, I'm very responsible. I have to change the characters sometimes to mold in a way that the readers would appreciate, or the reader should understand that this is not, this is a responsible writing. So of course we have to. I think so. I don't know.
So, as you all have said, that ideas come from the experiences or your imaginations or the location you have visited. So, as we all know, that it is not an easy task to pen down your imagination into words. So, what was your experience? How you've written your imagination in words?
So I think writing is basically a rewriting. Whenever the youngsters ask that what is the single piece of advice, the most important, I would say that it is a rewriting, and one should be one's own critic. The greatest
Yes,
critic
true.
should be yourself only. Uh, so that way, so you can even if when in the second or third draft you can usually get the words right.
Right, right. Yes.
And in your own writing, what are the weaknesses and what are the plus points. Sometimes we just are so tired of writing and rewriting the draft again to make it proper, that you just, okay, I know the weakness, let's give it to the publisher. Sometimes we are at that stage.
And sometimes I think it's important to take a break. Just take a break, move away from all of it. Listen to music, watch movie, do anything else. Take a break, and then when you come back, it will all be again. Where you had started. It would be good sometimes.
Yes, true.
And also uh, there's we have all been talking about what are the plus points of being a writer. So writer also is faced with periods of when you get frustrated that whether it is all worth it. We should not lose sight of that, and one should understand that the perks of writing are in kind and not in cash. That should be clear to every author. I'm putting it very straight.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, absolutely true. Actually, even if one good review comes through, that cannot be measured. I mean, cannot be measured in cash or anything. It can be so. It can bring so much of happiness.
So
True.
I'd like to recite a very small poem, which is a satirical poem on writers. Uh, Poets and writers are highly respected, but often leave their spouses dejected. Some of them have wholesale delusions of their writing precipitating revolutions. If they glance at a leaking tap or a dead tree, that is enough to trigger feverish creativity. So, next line is very special. Their friends love their literary creations, but some plan to read in future incarnations.
Sir, you have put it so well. This is so true. The last line is
Incredible.
absolutely so true.
In poets, heartbreak is a higher qualification, takes their poetry to stratospheric elevation. The sun, moon, flowers, and ladies who are pretty are planning to sue the poets for unpaid royalty.
What is royalty?
They have a tendency to demonize the politicians, though it is politics that rules the poetry and author associations. And this we have already discussed. The writer's block is their terrorist, and every poet and writer is on its hit list. And the last line: whether residing in Louisiana or Ludhiana, all writers are actually living in Utopiana. Thank you.
True,
So,
true.
good one, good one.
Because of these utopian dreams we are writing.
Yes.
True. Yes,
That
yes.
that is
Okay.
our intoxicant.
Yeah. Excuse me, guys. I'll have to excuse myself. It is 2 a.m. here in United States, and my kids are still not sleeping. So I really have to leave the discussion. But it's been a great time with Mr. Just. First time I'm, interacting with you. And Swati, of course, it is so nice meeting you. And
Same
Jessica,
here.
lovely
Thanks,
little
Mansi.
girl.
Thank you.
It was
Thank
a
you so
wonderful,
much.
wonderful.
Wonderful
And
meeting you.
Rahul, thank you so much for inviting me. It's my pleasure.
Yes, I must thank all of you, and especially Rahul and Suhail for giving me this opportunity to be here.
Yes, so I'll take a leave and thank you so much again. And
Thank you,
hope
ma'am.
Bye.
we'll have
Bye.
another nice discussion in
Sure,
future.
ma'am. Yes.
Take
Sure,
care.
sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Uh, so at last, I would like to ask you that what the lesson you have learned from your writing journey throughout your writing journey. What lessons you have learned?
For me, it has been it has been like a therapy. One, two is I've understood that you can never be perfect. It is a journey by itself. It's a continuous learning process. You write, you read, you rewrite, you read, and you go back to it. It's a cycle, and you continue to develop yourself. And the more you explore, the better you get at it. So there is no other process.
So, uh, like as is in any field, with time you grow as a writer, and initially all writers they commit some you can't call it mistakes. It's a process of learning, and gradually, just wine, like wine, you keep on getting better with time, and sometimes the reviewers and critics they are able to make you better. Initially you may feel bad about a review, but sometimes they are saying the truth. And
Yes, I think as a writer, just like as an actor, a musician, a singer, or any performer, you have to be open to all sorts of critics. Or criticism. So when I published my memoir, and it was really or how should I put it, Jessica? I mean, just uh, penning down some essays, and I never took it seriously. I would say I had never taken it seriously, but of course, some of my friends, they were elated, and one particular person, I wouldn't call her a friend as such, an acquaintance. She said that she would like to read. Okay, I gave her an author's copy. And after a few days, she comes back or she calls me, and there were some suggestions that there were few suggestions like how I should have put the essays, how I should have structured the book, and my style of writing, what are the books I should read, etc. And maybe I should refer to this book written by someone. Initially it was a little difficult because you always feel that I have given my best. Yes, there could be some mistakes, but you can't be so harsh. It is not all that bad. So, but then with time, you can mellow down, and you can just look at it very objectively. Just take the good things and better on it. But there are some people who can be really, really harsh, very harsh. What we can do is, as
I
I
think
said,
a very small percentage of people are deliberately harsh. They try to
yes,
stand
yes,
out, and just like when you drive on the road, you should take it as like a all medicines have sometimes they can cause side effects, or when you drive on the road sometimes you can have accidents, you can take in that way. Yet there are all types of people, but there are a lot of good reviewers who give you constructive criticism also.
True. Yes. So I think basically, you alone have to decipher what you should be taking and what you can just sideline and move on.
Right.
So, as you know, that the motive of this discussion panel is to motivate the young authors. So, would you like to give any message to them?
Uh, I would say you have to read a lot. Read. If you wish to be a writer, you have to be a very good reader. Okay, and you have to read a lot, whatever genre that is. Okay, read a lot, read good books, and be aware of the experiments that are happening in literature. Okay, uh, sometimes in certain families, they stick to uh, certain kind of how would I put it, a little orthodox, that we only read these kind of things, okay, or we only love these authors, we don't listen to those songs. No, let the you might want to groom your child in such a way that that person, that your child has developed that maturity to decipher or absorb every kind of thing. Okay, when that maturity comes along, then you will see things to flourish. If you just restrict a person to just one sort of thing, one particular genre or something, it will never flourish, it will not happen. Then eventually, with everything being seen, read, or done, then that person can take a certain path. This is my belief.
So I think apart from what has Swati has rightly said about reading a lot, one should initiate. I think one should write in what is your calling, rather than what is the flavor of the publishing world, like just pandering to the market. So, and ultimately one has to, just like there's a slogan of Nike, just do it. At
True,
one
true.
stage you have to sit in the front of the laptop and start writing, because otherwise if you think how will I do it, there's no other way than to start doing it, and ultimately the words will start flowing, but until you get down to it, it will never start.
So true, sir. So yes, absolutely. So here, what I would like to mention, Jessica, is sometimes these thoughts form, and you want to kind of just you ponder on it, whether you should jot this down or would you get a better thing about some particular plot or character. I would say is whatever comes into your mind, just jot it down. It could be numerous, but keep jotting them down, and then maybe 5 days later or 7 days later, one particular thing you would see is better than the rest. I'd like to put an example of Ernest Hemingway. This is what I'd heard is uh, he used to write every day. And some writers actually have a habit of at least writing some 1,000 words or 500 words, one page or something every single day. It's a habit. It's a habit. You know what? Why they do it is not every day everything will come, but that one day, something beautiful comes out. And why it will happen is because you have been in the practice of writing. So a lot of writers in the West actually follow this practice.
Thank you. I would like to thank you for attending this discussion panel. So, do you want to share any feedback regarding this event?
Sir, if you can, first
So
you.
it's a wonderful initiative uh, by Rahul and yourself and the rest of the team, uh, to have a festival which is focused on the young readers, because they are our future. So, and to involve them and focus on them. Uh, Many thanks for inviting, and this particular panel has been so lively, and even I have learned so many things from the other panelists. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, Jessica. First of all, thank you, Rahul, for inviting us to be a panelist. And there was so much to talk about. It was so lively. And yes, as Sir has mentioned, have myself learned so much. And there are takeaways from here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Even I have learned many things from you all. Thank you so much. So I would like to thank you for attending this event discussion panel. So we are very grateful that you have spared your valuable time and you have graced this function. I would also like to thank Rahul Suri, who is the founder and director of Rustle of Book Club, and Padmaja Amandipuri for making this event even great success. And also, I would like to thank all the audience who have contributed for the success of this event. And I want all of you to stay tuned for the next panel discussion, which is going to be on at 1:15 p.m. And there are a lot more surprises which are waiting for you. So thank you so much for attending this event.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Have a
Bye.
good day. Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.